Daniel Levine, autor de 20 bestsellers. CNN lo ha llamado el mejor gurú de la genialidad. Es un orador y consultor internacional sobre tendencias para ser más relevantes y rentables en la empresa. Trabaja con American Express, Fujitsu, BMW, Carlsberg Breweries, Samsonite y muchas más. Hoy Daniel ha prometido mostrarnos las tendencias que afectarán nuestras vidas 2020 y más allá. Demos una gran bienvenida a Daniel Levine con su tema Tendencias Globales de Internet.
I will be speaking in English, so I hope that works for all of you. Oh, I see we're having a moving some furniture. Yeah, and some people are coming in. Please come in, sit down. Have a seat. Yes, oh, this is nice. People are coming for the presentation. Come in, come in. Yes, come in, girls. Come on in. Keep coming. Walk in. Let's go. Okay, and have a seat as quickly as you can, because I don't have a lot of time, and I have so much great information for all of you. Okay, well that was such a nice introduction. I can hardly wait to hear what I have to say. We'll see, but as you heard, I'm a trends expert, and I wanted to begin by explaining to you the difference between a trend and a fad, because people often, we're having some technical difficulties. People often, they think a trend and a fad is the same thing, but trends are different. Fads are fun things that we see every day that are come into our lives very quickly. Did somebody just say silly bands? Yeah, like silly bands. I brought some fads to show you, some of the funnest one I've seen in the last year. One is babies in watermelon overalls. Have you seen this? You take a watermelon, cut it out, put a baby in there, take pictures. It's breaking the internet. I spoke to a woman 2 days ago. I showed her this image, and she said, I am never eating watermelon again. I'm finished. Or you go to some beautiful place in the world, and you hold out 2 hot dogs as if they're legs, and you take a picture. Hot dogs. This was taken at Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, a really nice hotel in Singapore. You know, these fads are like fidget spinners. You know, many of you have played with these, but the fads, it was big last year, right? But where is it now? It's finished. Fads, they come quickly and they leave quickly. So, for business people, fads are not so interesting. For us, they're great. They're fun. We like to play them, share them with friends. But for business, fads are not something that you could easily make a lot of money with. But trends are different. Trends are something that you can make a lot of money with. And they're very important to understand if you want to know where your customers are going and what they're buying. And by trends, the definition that we use in my office is shared changes in sentiment in any measurable direction. Sentiment means what people are thinking and feeling. So when you can measure how people are thinking and feeling, and when you can see that a group of people start to think and feel and buy and share the same kinds of ideas and products and services, then you see trends that are forming. And these trends are really powerful because from a business perspective, If you can understand, if you can see where those trends are, what people will be buying, what they're thinking, where they're headed, then this is like the secret sauce. It's the psychology behind the buying. It's the psychology behind what people are doing. And if you can understand why your customers are buying things, it makes you like super powerful. This is the key to business from what I see in my office every day. What I want to add to this introduction about me is why I'm here today. I had a very unusual career path getting into the business world. I studied history in university. And when I graduated from school, I wanted to travel around the world, but I didn't have enough money to do it. And so I thought, well, what if we're having a little tech, what if I wrote about it? What if I wrote books about, traveling and then wrote about it and sold those books? Maybe that would be a good way to make money to do it. And so I started researching. I went to school in New York, at New York University, and I started researching the biggest travel books in the world and who was writing them. And I found out that in America, the largest travel guidebook series was written by this man named Arthur Fromer. And I had just graduated from school, but I thought, maybe he can help me. And what I did was I picked up the telephone and I called him and I asked him if he would have lunch with me. And he was so nice, he said yes. And I had lunch with him and we had a very nice conversation, and I explained to him that I thought his books were great, but they sounded out of date and maybe he needs some help with it. And eventually, well, not eventually, 2 weeks later, actually, I was hired to go to London to write about it. And they paid me, and I used that money to continue my trip around the world. But I'm telling you this story because I wanted to tell this story to students. This idea of reaching out and asking older people who are already successful in their careers if they would help you. And in my experience, most older people say yes. They want to help younger people, but they don't know who you are. You have to be the one to reach out and say, hey, hold your hand up and say, hey, will you help me? But tell them how you can help them and how good, how good you are, how smart you are, how creative you are, whatever it is. And that's why I'm here this morning also. As someone who's further along in my career, I was asked if I would speak with you, and I immediately said, yes, I would love to, because I think that I can help you with my presentation this morning. So, I studied history in school, and then I started writing these books. I wrote a lot of books to places around the world, and then I became an entrepreneur, and I set up a publishing company with some colleagues. And we started creating other books to places around the world, and I started hiring a lot of writers in cities all over the world. And sometimes, I would hire 100 writers in one city to make a collaboration of a book. So I had thousands of writers around the world who were working with me. And then the publishing industry started to go in the wrong direction. And just in general, the internet people aren't reading as many books. And so right around that time, I got a telephone call from Deutsche Telekom. They're the largest telecom company in German-speaking countries in Europe. And they asked me if I would lead a tour of their top C-level people to some cities around Europe to show them the current state of retail. and they paid really well for it. And I knew the current state of retail because I was writing all these books. And that's when I connected my own dots and I thought, wow, there is a business here showing business people what trends are and where we can go with trends. So I sold the publishing company and I changed direction and started using these writers as the beginning of our trend spotting network. And now we have thousands of trend spotters all over the world who every day are sending us things that they're finding that are new and unique and interesting in some way. And what we do back in my New York office is when we start to see the same kind of thing happening in the same geographic or demographic, we connect those dots and we say, wow, these are trends that are forming, and we help companies understand these trends before anybody else sees them. And that's the power of what we do, how we help companies. So, the challenge for business is a few things. One, how do you know, I might have even have a slide for this. Yes, challenges for business. How do you know what customers expect? How do you know what they're expecting? It's really important to answer customers' expectations. Oh boy. How do you differentiate from your competition? A main point. This is what separates one business from another business. How do you attract and retain great employees? Almost every business person who I speak with says this is one of their biggest problems, finding great employees. Even when there's record unemployment, businesses have trouble finding great employees. That's why being in school is so important, to be one of these employees. And how do you stay relevant in the years to come? The world is changing so fast. How do you stay relevant? You can't do the same thing 5 years from now that you can do today. The world, it will be a different world 5 years from now. Well, the answer to all of these questions lies in trends, the world of trends. And so what I brought for you this morning, my team created a presentation that I've never given before, that's 5 specific trends that we think is really important for students like you to go out into the world knowing. And these 5 trends I broke into 2 different parts. The first part is about consumer psychology, what people are thinking and feeling, what is behind why people are buying. And the second part is all about technology, because of course that's a main focus of this conference. But what's important to know is you cannot just put technology out there in the world if people don't use it. The technology side and the psychology side of people using it go hand in hand. They have to be together. So that's why I'm including the psychology part as well. So again, I don't have a lot of time. I could speak all day on this stuff, so let me jump into it. The first concept that I want to give you is about simplicity and being quick and easy. And the idea behind this is that we're seeing around the world that people seem to be busier than ever. People seem to have less time today than they had 100 years ago. The promise of technology was supposed to be that it would make all our lives easier, right? The robots would do everything. We would just sort of kick back and have drinks by the pool. But in fact, the opposite has happened. And technology has made us all busier. It's made us all producing more. It's made us all richer, but it's made us busier creating these things. In fact, they say that hunter-gatherers had more free time than we have now. People think that they were spending all their time looking for food and building their caves, but in fact, they say that they had more free time millions of years ago, or hundreds of thousands of years ago. My presentation today also is not just about the Dominican Republic. I want to show you what I'm seeing from a global view and what's happening in the world in general. And what I've seen around the world is that most countries, especially countries that are buying a lot of things, the people who are working and living there feel as though they don't have enough time. Let me ask you, how many people here, by a show of hands, hold up your hand if you feel like you have enough time to get everything done each day that you need to do? Seriously, let me see, a show of hands. Really, this is it? And how many people have never raised their hands in public before? A few more. There's going to be a few more, I know. But you could see, if you're being honest, then this is what I've seen in other groups, that very few people today feel like they have enough time. And it will be even more intense in the future. So why am I telling you this? Because from a business perspective, if you know that people don't have enough time, they feel like they don't have enough time, there is a strategic advantage to making life easier for your customers, for making it quicker and faster. And I am seeing so many examples from industries all over the world that's making that case. When the iPhone first came out, Steve Jobs very specifically said, I would like it to be as easy as possible to use. We'll put one button on the front. So there's just one button. And if any of you have the newest iPhone, you know it has no buttons on the front. And the iPhone is still easier to use than Android devices. It's baked into their sales proposition about being as easy as possible to work with. They understood long ago, 12 years ago, that the idea of being easy is critical to their sales process. Now, going back just in this past year, many of you who use Gmail, you know they have this autocomplete feature, right? You're writing the Gmail and it knows what you're going to say before you say it, right? Why do they have that? Why is that there? It's there because the Google marketing team understands that we are time pressed, and they thought, hey, we can make people save time by filling out their ideas before they even have them. And it's getting, people are embracing this, people are using this. It's crazy, really, when you think about it, that what is it doing? It's saving us a few seconds writing each email? Yes, but you know what that's gonna mean? You can write more emails now than you could write before. This is a terrific example of the idea that technology is not making our lives it's not taking away work from our lives, it's giving us more work. We're even busier than ever before. It's the idea behind Domino's delivery service and more restaurants having delivery service than before. Why is that? You know, we're living in a time where more people want to get their food faster, get it delivered to them, have it easier. In many countries, McDonald's has replaced going to the counter and ordering food with self-service kiosks. These are kiosks where you go and you order yourself from the touch screen, and then when your order is ready, they tell you and you pick it up. It's across the industrial spectrum. Marketing teams are understanding we can have a strategic advantage by making things faster and easier for our customers. In the United States, Amazon is making a lot of money with this idea of one click. You only have to click one time to order whatever you want on Amazon. You know, because why? Because if I have to click 2 times, that's too much. It's too much. I don't have time for that. I can't click twice. But in fact, it is too much for 1 click because Domino's recently released 0-click ordering in the United States. 0 click, because 1 click was too much. The way that 0-click works is the first time you order a pizza, you put it in. I'll have large pepperoni pizza, 2 Coca-Colas, and then every time after that, all you need to do is just open the app, and if you do nothing for 30 seconds, it puts in the order for you. 0-click ordering. Crazy. This challenge of making things simple is the challenge for us, for you, as people who are going into the business world, is that your customers' expectations will be set outside almost any industry that you go in. Customers' expectations are being set by Amazon, who has 1-click ordering, Domino's 0-click ordering, and any company that offers sales and support 24/7 by phone, by text, by email, by message. Some of us in the United States come to expect this kind of customer service from the companies that we work with. And this is a trend that we're seeing is getting more so. And so what this means is that if you're working, well, Amazon does offer this in the United States, a 24-hour-a-day customer service by many, many different kinds of forms, calls, text, email, message. And customers are expecting that same kind of customer service from every company that they work with, which is so difficult for other companies to do. But it's the way that the world is going, and I want to share that with you because it's important for you to know what these expectations are and how they're going to be set. It's the reason why websites of all kinds now have FAQs, frequently asked questions, because this is an easy way for customers to get answers themselves at 3 o'clock in the morning when they're thinking of buying something, but they're sitting on their beds. They can go to the frequently asked questions page. And I put this slide here. It's from Microsoft Office because it's a B2B application. And so it's not only business to consumer that's offering frequently asked questions, but business to business, because they know that business people are up at 3 o'clock in the morning looking for answers for things that they're going to be doing when they go to their office the next morning. The other thing about this frequently asked questions page is that it's dynamic, and so depending on what time of day it is, different questions will move to the top because they know that at 3 in the morning, people in general are asking different questions than they are at 3 in the afternoon. Or it might even know who exactly is the customer who's asking the question, and using artificial intelligence and machine learning, put those questions up top so they're easy as possible to find. That's a fairly complicated and possibly expensive application, but the idea to make things easy and simple and fast for customers does not have to be expensive, and so I'm seeing a lot of businesses that are doing things to make their lives of their customers easier. There's a company out of England that recently debuted these high heels that fold down so after the club you can drive your car easily. Ladies, would you like these heels that fold down so that you don't have to change your shoes? Those are kind of cool. And men shouldn't feel left out because in New York, where I'm from, there's many grocery stores that now have instituted these man aisles because they think men hate shopping for food, so they put everything men would want in one spot. So a man can just walk in and say, beer, yes, chips, yes, I'm finished, I'm out of here. Making it simple. Good idea, good idea. The The second of the 5 trends that I brought for you is about ratings and reviews. And hopefully you're all aware of the importance of ratings online and how they're becoming even more and more part of our lives. You know, people who come to Santo Domingo, like me, looking for a restaurant, I go onto Google Maps and I put in, you know, restaurants on Santo Domingo, and if I know nothing about the restaurants here, I'll be reading the reviews, I will be looking at the ratings, and this will be very crucial for me in choosing a restaurant, choosing where to go. And it's the same thing for people who come to stay at a hotel here. They'll go on TripAdvisor, and they will look for ratings for different hotels. It's becoming, these ratings and reviews are becoming more and more a part of culture around the world. And there's so many sites that have them. You know, Facebook has ratings as well. You can go on and on. The number one question that I'm asked when it comes to trends, any trend, it says, where will that trend be 5 years from now? And the answer is almost always, it will be more intense. It'll be bigger than it is now. Because trends have a lot of inertia, which means they move in one direction. You know, trends are when you can start measuring the direction, and they move in that direction, and they get bigger and larger and grow, usually, unless something really big stops them, like war or economic meltdowns, but it's gotta be huge. So this trend of ratings and reviews is growing, and it's something that will be with you for your entire careers, surely. There'll be more and more websites that are having ratings and reviews. I mean, you know, what I'm seeing in America is that there's almost every business is being rated and reviewed, everything. And this is not a joke. On Facebook today in the US, they're even rating prisons. Prisons are being rated. That's crazy, right? Like, oh yes, I think I'll go to that prison because you get a free juice at 3 o'clock every day. It's a very good prison. So, you know, this whole ratings system, I think many of you certainly know the website Glassdoor. If you don't, you should. It's rating companies, and you can look up almost any big or even medium-sized company, and people who work in that company now are rating it anonymously about how much they like it, how much they like the director. There's in the United States and Europe, there's a huge website called Rate My Professors for rating professors. Do you think professors like being rated by their students? No, they don't. They've told me they don't. But it's part of the culture. You know, these trends are part of the culture. You know, the first time that I took Uber, I got out of the car, and I still have one foot in the car, and my phone buzzes, and it says, "Rate your driver." You've seen this. You've taken Uber. Rate your driver. And I laughed, and I said, you know, yeah, you were great. I'm giving you 5 stars. And the driver looks back at me, and he says, "You were great too. I'm giving you 5 stars." Everybody is being rated. This is just how life is. So what's interesting about that is it should be no shock that 90% of consumers say that positive online reviews influence their buying decisions. That's not a shock. I've seen other studies with different numbers, 87%, 92%, but it's always crazy high. Like this is really, really amazing. So, you know, what does this mean to you going into the business world? How do you take advantage of that? How do you make money from that? Well, I wanted to point you to a Harvard Business School study that said, it looked specifically at ratings, and it said a 1-star increase in rating leads to a 5 to 9% increase in revenue. Wow, that's pretty intense when you have a metric like this that shows you. Now, this particular study was done on an American website called Yelp, and it was specifically done with restaurants. But I've seen similar studies since this came out that's looking at other things like Google Maps, which is aggregating different scores from other places, and it's going to have different meaning for different businesses from different countries, of course. But the point is that everybody is being rated, and that ratings lead directly to money. So one of the things that we're working with in my office when I'm consulting with companies, we're focusing now on getting those ratings up in companies. And the way that we're doing that is we're saying to companies that everybody in the company should know what the ratings are today from the website that matters. So if it's TripAdvisor, they should know today what that rating is, and they should, anytime the boss walks by and says, "What's our rating today?" the person should be able to say that, and the team should be incentivized to raise those ratings, so that if next week or next month the rating is higher than it is today, the team wins. And we've been finding a lot of success focusing on ratings in that way. I mean, how bad can ratings culture get? It can get really bad. I just saw this website, rottenneighbor.com. It's for rating your neighbors. You have a bad next door neighbor? Put it to. It's kind of weird. Okay, the third trend that I bring for you is about trust and transparency. And we're having a problem globally right now in trust and transparency. This idea of fake news that you've certainly heard about, and our trust in governments. I brought a global. I'm having a little trouble with this clicker. Wait. Okay. I brought this is a study that brings together global trust in institutions from countries around the world. So this is very generalized from countries around the world. But in general, I don't know if you could see it, it says the military, small business, the police, the church, the medical system, banks, schools, organized labor, big business, newspapers, the criminal justice system, and television news. And you can see these numbers are not great. Most people around the world don't have strong trust in institutions. And I'm not sure what it is exactly in the Dominican Republic at the moment, but I'm sure it's not trust in all these institutions. Well, the problem, the reason why I'm bringing this to you is because trends are not siloed by industry. Trends are what we are thinking and feeling as people, and we are all looking for the same trends to be answered in every part of our lives. The clothes we wear, the cars we buy, the travel decisions we make, the companies we work with. It's not like you have you're interested in one trend in one part of your life, and then it's completely different, and then you become a totally different person, and you're looking for something else in a different part of your life. Trends are not siloed by industry, and so when you see a lack in trust in general, there's a lack in trust in the police or banks. This is a problem for all businesses, and so there's so many examples across industry that show where this lack of trust is coming from. This is a slide from the last Winter Olympics, when Russia could not compete because they cheated in the previous Olympics, and so Olympic athletes who were from Russia could not compete as Russian athletes They had to compete as Olympic athlete from Russia because of cheating. There's a lack of trust now. Facebook has been selling our data behind our backs without us knowing. They're collecting from us and then just selling it to other companies. That's a problem. That's a lack of trust. Volkswagen has this international issue, mainly in Europe and the United States, where they lied about the emissions, about how much bad exhaust comes out of their cars. And what they did was that they put a computer chip, they programmed a computer chip so that when the car is connected to a testing device, it wouldn't throw out so much bad stuff. But then when the testing device was taken off, it would run like big polluting. They're in a lot of trouble for this. This is a major problem for Volkswagen. I was driving around California about a month, maybe 6 months ago, and I saw this place, World's Best Pizza. World's Best Pizza. And the first thing I thought was, that's bull. That place does not have the world's best pizza. Well, one, because I'm from New York, and we have the world's best pizza, as you know. But there was no way that this place was going to have the world's best pizza. And I thought, you know, when you name your restaurant World's Best Pizza, you are setting up everybody who walks in the door will be disappointed. Everybody. Because these days, you have to, you know, people are talking to each other online. I mean, they'll know even before they go in there, it doesn't have the world's best pizza. We're living in this world now where there's a transparency that customers are speaking to other customers, and through the ratings systems, telling people the truth about business. And in fact, this place was open for 4 months. 4 months. It's closed now, and I'm not surprised. I've done a lot of work with Carlsberg breweries, and Carlsberg breweries, for the last 30 years, their campaign was probably the best beer in the world. Have you heard this? Probably the best beer in the world. Yeah, for 30 years, this is their tagline. And the marketing department got together and they thought, you know, today there's a lack of trust in the world. And when we say probably the best beer in the world, you know what? Our beer is good, but it's not that good. It's not the best beer in the world. And the fact is, everybody knows it. It's a good drinking beer, you know, but it's not even close to the best beer in the world. So 6 months ago, they started a new campaign, probably not the best beer in the world. This is true. This is true. And they did that with this understanding that there's this lack of trust happening, and they need to be truthful if they want to connect with customers and stay relevant. Now, they did a campaign next to this, so they did 2 campaigns. One was probably not the best beer in the world, and the other one was, but we know this, and we're changing our formula, and we're making it better. And it's been a powerful thing. It's a terrific answer to this challenge of trust. What we're seeing, and with the companies that I'm working with, the answer to the challenge of trust is transparency and being clear about what you offer as a business. And so now I'm seeing in many different industries, companies being transparent in this way. This is from Radisson Hotel's website, and on their website now, they are putting these ratings from TripAdvisor. This is a different company, TripAdvisor, that's a ratings company, and they're putting the ratings directly from that site onto every hotel that's part of the Radisson chain. This is real transparency, and it's also a terrific example of what I was talking about before, where everybody at Radisson Hotels now knows what their rating is today, and they are incentivized if the rating is better next week. In the UK, maybe you've seen oh, I'm sorry, this one is from the US. It's from Bumblebee Tuna, a very large brand of tuna fish. And they have this thing called Trace Your Catch. Follow your tuna from catch to can with Bumblebee. And the way it works is that on every can, I don't know if you can see down here, there's a code, an individual code. And if you go on their website and you put in the code from your can, it will show you where it was caught, the people who caught the fish, how it was transported to the factory, and who was working on it in the factory. Is that too much information for a can of tuna fish? Yeah, probably is. But what it proves, what it shows is that the marketing department at Bumblebee understands that there's trust issues, there's trust problems happening in the world right now that affect businesses. And they said, we would like to be more trustworthy. And one way we can do that is to be more transparent, to show people exactly what's happening with their tuna fish. Now, in the UK, this is what I was coming to. Maybe you've seen the Trace Your Coke campaign. I'm getting a nod. Coca-Cola did the same thing in the UK, where you could put in the number from the can or the bottle of Coke, and it would show you how it got to you. And it got so intense. I was at a sushi restaurant that put these QR codes on the top of each sushi. A little crazy, right? They were edible. You could eat the QR codes. And the idea was you scan the code, and it shows you what kind of fish it is, if it was sustainably harvested, where it came from, all that information. The idea is that in order to gain trust of customers, companies have to be transparent. The old method was that companies would tell customers all about themselves to the customers. And today, as you all know, because of ratings and reviews, customers are talking to customers about people's companies. So if all companies need to join that conversation and be part of it. As many of you know, Dominican Republic has had a real challenge in tourism in the last year. And the Dominican Republic tourism industry is combating this issue now with their idea of transparency. And they've created a lot of these campaigns, and they put a lot of money behind these campaigns around the world now, which are showing potential visitors, hopefully, what the truth about visiting the DR is. And so in this is a whole campaign where they're getting real travelers to say what they think of the DR. And so a guy like this, I've been to Punta Cana 13 times. I don't even consider going anywhere else anymore. I keep coming back because of the people. They always say, hey family, you're back. And it makes you feel good. Gene. They're doing videos, they're doing major ad campaign. And this is the idea of transparency, to say, hey, we have a problem. This is, and here's truth coming out of people's mouths. Companies have to tell the truth because there's a lot of websites out there now, like this one, where it will put up pictures from companies advertising, showing you like how good the KFC sandwich is. But then next to it, they'll post pictures of what they actually got when they went to the store. So this slide and that joke usually gets a standing ovation. I don't know what happened to you, crowd. Anyway, the fourth trend that of the five that I brought with me is the future of buying. And here's where I'm going to talk about technology in my fourth and fifth trends. So the first three were about consumer behavior and psychology, and now let's jump into tech. So a little bit about the future of buying. This is a graph showing retail e-commerce sales worldwide from 2017 to 2023. And these black lines are retail sales in trillions of US dollars. So, the retail e-commerce sales. And what you could see is that from 2019 to 2023, it's almost double e-commerce sales. You know, this is not brain surgery. People are buying more things online, retail. This, as a percentage of total retail sales, you know, in 2017, 10% of total retail sales was done online, and by 2023, more than twice as many retail sales done online. That's, you know, you've seen things like that before. The great thing, of course, about that for marketers is that it's much easier to target people who are buying online. You know who they are, and you can reach them. You've probably heard this many times, reaching the right customer at the right time, with the right message, through the right channel. And the right channel, in this case, we're talking really omni-channel marketing, and, you know, reaching them on, you know, on their laptops, then moving to email, moving to mobile, moving to social sites. And what's falling away from all this, the big loser, is really television. And this is an amalgamation of the US and Europe, average minutes spent daily on TV versus mobile devices. And I don't know if you could see the bottom here, but last year, in 2018, it finally switched where more people are on their mobile devices than watching TV, spending more time on mobile devices than watching TV. Now, interestingly also, McKinsey has reported that they think that by 2025, nearly 1/5 of global personal sales will take place online. So that's interesting and perhaps not shocking. I'm buying more things online myself. So is this the end of retail sales, actually, you know, going into places themselves? Well, they're certainly hurting in a lot of countries, and they're changing as well. And so what I'm seeing with the businesses that we're working with is that there's a convergence between online and bricks and mortar, and that many bricks and mortar shops are starting to look more like online shops. And a good example of that comes from a department store called Nordstrom, where when you walk into the store, one of the first things you see are these touchscreen panels, so that if you want, you can shop by color and size and see the stock of what you're looking for, not by walking around and actually touching fabric hanging from the racks, but by touching the screen and seeing if that's available in the store. The challenge that that websites have is, can they offer as good an experience as stores themselves? And so we're seeing a lot of innovation happening online. And you know, one of them is with personalized e-commerce websites, which, as you know, if Maria goes to a website, she will get different screen than if Joseph goes to the same exact website, tailored to that person. Just like when you walk into a store, perhaps one person might walk this way and another person might walk this way, looking at different things. And a lot of the challenges that we've seen for business selling stuff in real life is being overcome in interesting ways online. Like, one problem for online sales, if you're selling something expensive, then one of the reasons why people seem to like it is because there's not many of them. You can have something unique that other people don't have. And so online, we're seeing a lot of companies, whoops. Geez. I have to be very gentle with this. So online, we're seeing a lot of companies, especially high-end retail companies, that have this fake scarcity. There's the last one available. Of course, that's not true. There's many available. But last one available makes people feel like, you know, this is something that no one else will have. It's very important. A challenge, of course, also for people buying things online is with sizing, like how are you going to buy clothes? And we're seeing several companies now that use the camera either of your mobile device or of your laptop, where you can stand back and it will measure you so that you can buy things online in the right size. We've seen a lot of virtual reality coming down the line. This is virtual Tryon, which we've seen in some stores. Has anybody used this? Has anyone seen this yet? Virtual Tryon. So you can stand in front of this thing that looks like a mirror. It's not a mirror, it's like a TV screen, and there's a camera pointing at you. And you can try on different clothes, try on without actually putting it on, and see yourself how you look wearing that. This is happening in a lot of different industries. In the IKEA catalog, in many countries, they've offered this same thing, where you can use augmented reality to take a look at how a piece of furniture would look in your room before you buy it. In some cases, it works in 3 dimensions, so you could walk around it and see how it will look from different angles. I've been to maybe 5 restaurants now that have augmented reality restaurant menus, where you point your camera at the menu and it will pull up some other information about the food, perhaps ingredients or nutrition, or maybe a video about how it was created. If any of you have a new Hyundai car, the user manual is now on augmented reality, not printed in the glove box. So you can point your screen at the dashboard and it will show you how to operate all the technology in your car. Or perhaps even better, you can point it at the engine and it will show you the different parts of your engine. And even if something's not working, it can show you which part needs to be fixed. If any of you have gotten a tattoo recently, you may have used augmented reality tattoo try-on. There's many tattoo places around the world that are now connected with hundreds of thousands of designs that you can see how it will look on you before you actually get it on you permanently. And there's, of course, at places like Sephora, big stores, is the lipstick try-on. Some of you have probably used this. In this case, this is a particularly cool one where you're looking at the screen. She doesn't really have this lipstick on her at the moment, but she's holding a lipstick in her hand, and at the bottom of the screen, there's lipsticks in all different colors, and the lipstick is communicating with the screen. So what she does is she picks up a color and just holds it up, and like magic, her lips will change into that color so she can see what it will look like. There's companies of all kinds doing this. There's a company called Benefit Cosmetics that's doing the same thing for eyebrows. And of course, I had to try it. So I went online and I saw how I would look with different eyebrows. Is that better for me? I'm not sure that it is. But you could try it. It's benefitcosmetics.com, I think it is. Give it a shot. And then this idea of logistics is also something that's crucial for companies. So there's so many companies now. You buy stuff online and they're delivered to you, right? I mean, this is the future of retail. People buying it online. We're seeing that. But in a previous trend, I'm telling you that people want things faster and easier, right? Our lives are so quick. So the movement of this, the trends keep picking up speed. The movement of this is towards getting things faster. In this case, same-day delivery is a holy grail. It's a thing that companies are more and more companies are trying to do. But in big cities like New York, this is not fast enough to get it in the same day. And so many companies are now offering 1-hour delivery. Order it online and you get it in 1 hour. That's really tough to do. And excuse me, sir, I'm trying to talk here. Yeah. So the 1 hour delivery is great, but you know how does that work? What if you're buying clothes and you're having them delivered to you? The best company I've seen doing that is Net-a-Porter, and what they do is they have something called Try While They Wait. And so you order online, the same day they bring it to you, to your house, and there's a personal shopper who brings it to you, who waits in your house while you try things on, and you keep what you want and you return everything else to the personal shopper. These are companies trying to make lives of their customers easier and faster. Many companies like Walmart is offering much more services where you buy online and pick up in your car. And so you buy online and then you drive to the Walmart parking lot, and when you're in the parking lot, your phone, of course, knows where you are from geolocation, and it reports to the store that you've arrived, and somebody runs out with your stuff and puts it and gives it to you after you bought it. In several countries now, Amazon is offering deliver packages to your trunk. Have you seen this? Are you aware of this? Yeah. So you know, you order online, and then they will deliver it to the trunk, like of your car, maybe while you're at your office. And there's many cars now that open. They're opening with codes, so you can open the locks with codes. So you can give this code to Amazon, and they'll share it with delivery, so they can put it in your trunk. And of course, you get a message that your package has been delivered. But you still need a person for this kind of delivery. You still need a human, which is why the future is all about autonomous delivery vehicles, driverless vehicles, who will bring you your things without any human being there. Is that wonderful or crazy? Crazy, maybe. And how far in the future do you think this is? 1 year, 5 years? 3 years? I hear 5 to 10 years. I hear some nows, and actually the nows are correct. This picture was taken last week at Berkeley University in California. They're doing thousands of food deliveries every single day using these bots, and it's the most advanced bot delivery service in the world at the moment. Incredible. It's happening right this moment. All of these trends are happening so fast in our world. You know, when we think about that, the iPhone was created 12 years ago, something like that. And now, if I walk from one room of my house into another room and I don't have my phone with me, I feel like I've left my heart or something in the other. I mean, it's part of me, you know? It's happened so quickly. And what's amazing with technology is that the next 12 years will be even faster than the last 12 years, because technology moves exponentially faster. Not just faster, but exponentially faster. The chart of moving is not like this, it's like this. So all of these trends that I'm showing you are really things that will be part of our lives, even here in the Dominican Republic, in the very sooner than you think. And in fact, some technologies will come here sooner than they'll come other places. Perhaps drone package delivery, to deliver packages to places that are a bit harder to reach as well. And it leads me to my fifth and final trend about the future of technology. And you know, I brought with me, I thought it was sort of fun to look back at what people thought the world that we're living in today would look like 100 years ago. And so this is from a magazine from France from 1900, showing what the world would look like in the year 2000, 100 years later. And this was an artist's idea of what a house cleaning machine would look like in the year 2000. There's no electricity. It's a sort of a mechanical machine. What I think is interesting about this image is that the artist thought that we would all have maids, so that didn't happen. And then this comes from a German magazine, also around 1900, of what the world would look like 100 years later. And this is his conception of video phones. And you know, these women, they're wearing what look like pilot hats. I assume that's their car, their flying car, on the top left. And you notice that these video phones have cords hanging down. I think that's kind of funny. But the one thing that the artist got correct is there's two people sitting together at a restaurant eating, and they're not talking to each other. They're both looking at their phone. So that's that part they got right. But in fact, it shows you, I mean, we are indeed living in the future that we always dreamed of in so many ways. These virtual assistants that are in so many homes now, the Amazon Echo and the Google Home, and you know, next year the penetration will be even higher. I want to mention, you know, basically this is a robot. These are home robots that can't move. They just sit in the corner, and will be with us in the very not distant future. These robots that can move. And some of you may have seen them. I certainly have. This picture is from the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Las Vegas. And when you walk into the hotel, this robot named Pepper says, "Hello, are you checking in? Yes, may I have your name?" And can check you in and bring you up to your room. A few months ago, I was at the Incheon Airport in Seoul, South Korea, and they have these robots all over the place at the airport. And these terminal robots, you walk up to them and you say, can you tell me where is my flight from San Francisco leaving? And they speak many different languages. I'm sure they understand Spanish. And it will say, yes, your flight is leaving from gate 36. May I walk you there? Pretty cool. I was in Moscow also this year, and I went specifically to go to a department store called Lenta, because this department store has the most advanced robot helpers of any place in the world at the moment. And these robots, you walk in and you can ask them, I would like a pair of jeans in whatever size, in red, do you have them? And of course the robot has the entire catalog of what's in the store, and it will say, yes, we have that in your size, it's in aisle 3. Would you like me to walk you there? It's very helpful. And these are kind of like, you know, this idea of robots changing the way we shop, but they're also going to change the way that we live. And this idea that there's already robots in homes where old people are living as companions, to be helpers with companions. The world is just changing so quickly. You know, many of you I know have used Uber, but how will Uber and driving change when that all becomes about self-driving cars? I mean, there's just so many possibilities in the way that the world is going to be changed. When robots that actually move us is a very, you know, a huge game changer that will happen in all our lifetimes. And as you well know, I won't ask this question again, when will these be here? Because you know the answer is now. And this picture also was taken in Las Vegas. It's an autonomous car, sort of car bus that is now running up and down Las Vegas Boulevard, and tourists can hop on and hop off and be taken to different places. Another trend I wanted to talk to you about, because I'm seeing it in many different industries in my office now, is about biometric authentication. I used this yesterday at Kennedy Airport when I flew here. some of you have used this, where you no longer need a boarding pass. You just, you just smile at the camera. And in the U.S., the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, said this will be in every major airport in the United States by next year. So, the just how fast it's moving is amazing. I just wanted to say a word about virtual reality. In the work that I'm doing, the companies that I work with are much more excited about augmented reality than virtual reality. But still, we haven't seen all the capabilities of this, except for the fact that it's in gaming mostly is how it seems to be used, and in companies in a commercial ways. In augmented reality, do you remember Google Glass? The Google Glass, they were these glasses. They looked funny, and people, it didn't work out because they said people who were wearing them looked like glass holes. Have you heard that? Yeah, it was an English language joke. But what we're seeing now is that there's many more companies that are coming out with augmented reality glasses that look sort of normal. Well, what does this do to a person when you're wearing augmented reality glasses? It makes that person, it turns that person into like a super person, because that person now has more information than a normal person, than a non-super person. And so what's happening, and what I'm seeing so clearly, is that there's this convergence between humans and machines that's happening in the world, and is happening ever faster. So that humans and machines are becoming one. We're incorporating machines into us, into our bodies. It's the idea behind the Apple Earbuds. Now people are communicating with other people, and you could ask Siri for information and change music just from these things hanging from your ears. But imagine for a moment, what if these were not hanging from her ears? What if they were surgically implanted inside her ears? That's not such a big leap to take. It's not such a distant future, and that would make her a superhuman, right? To have this extra information implanted inside her. These are Google Pixel Buds, and they're similar to Apple's, except that these are also now working with simultaneous interpretation, so that you can go to France and people in France will speak to you in French, and it will simultaneously tell you in Spanish what they're saying. This sounds like the distant future. You can buy it now for $99 online. Check it out. In Sweden, right now, the Swedish Rail, which is the main Swedish railroad company, is offering to their customers the possibility to embed in their hand a chip, an NFC chip, near field communications chip, to use as tickets, so that when the person comes by to check your tickets, they just scan your hand. And in Silicon Valley and some other places where there's many tech startups, they're doing the same thing. They're offering people who are working for them the chance to have a little chip embedded. They embed it in your hand right in this spot, right here, to open doors, to pay for meals, and things like that. This convergence between humans and machine, I want to tell you about this because it sounds like I'm talking science fiction in the far, far future. You all are graduating into this world. This is the next 5 years, 10 years max. And this idea of humans and machines getting interconnected. Elon Musk, who you all know Elon Musk, one of the major companies he's invested in is called Neuralink. And Neuralink is a company that connects our brains to computers. It's one of the leading companies doing this. Check it out if you're not familiar with it. all this stuff to me, it seems a little bit scary even to like see all this stuff. So, and maybe it is, but it's a fact, and it's the future. You know, I mean, you just think now, it's only been 12 years and everyone's got their phones with them, right? And people walking down the street like this. You know, in China, they've started these mobile phone walking lanes for slow people looking at their phones. So if you don't have a phone, you can walk quickly in the other lane. I like that idea. And in several cities in Europe right now, they've embedded stoplights onto the sidewalk so that people don't get hit by cars when they're looking down at their mobile phones. I mean, all this stuff, it's so much technology, and the world is going so fast, and the next 10 years will be faster than the last 10 years. You know, I was at an event recently, and it was outdoors, and something was going by, and everybody had their cameras up and they were looking at the event through the lens of their cameras. You've all seen this, and maybe all done it. Not there, but through technology, looking at the world through technology. But I love this photo. I don't know if you in the back can you see the one lady who's from the generation who still knows how to enjoy the moment? You know, I love that photo. So, anyhow, let me end. I probably have spoken too long already, but I have so much stuff for you guys. As I said, I could talk all day. I want to end on a personal note, which is that I am an entrepreneur, a small businessman, like, you know, many or all of you are going to be in business. And I see all these crazy trends coming at me every day. I mean, this is just a little bit of it. And I think to myself, you know, I don't have enough manpower in my office or enough money in my company to do all of these things. And I didn't bring these all to like wag my finger and say, you got to be up to date and do all these things. But I brought this to you for a few reasons. One, to show you, you know, what people want, sort of what's behind why people are buying. And to give you, sort of make you all into trends experts and see what I'm seeing in my office every day. And to show you, like, what is the world going to look like when you graduate? What is our future going to look like? And then most importantly for all of you going into business, how do you future-proof yourself? Because the world is changing so fast. And so one of the things I'd like to say is that a way to future-proof yourself is to never stop learning. The most important thing that you can learn in school is how to learn, and you'll be using that throughout your lives. And so I wanted to end I'm going to flip through these. These are just the recap of what I spoke about. If any of you want a copy of these slides, I see some cameras going up. I'm happy to share this slide deck with all of you. If you'd like, just ask. And I have some questions to ask that you might ask yourself. How can I make it easier for others? How can I myself be easier to work with? Oh, this one I just want to point out. This is, you know, how can I myself be easier to work with? Not just when you're in business, but you yourselves here at school. Who's rating me here at school, and how can I raise it? How can I share my story for transparency, and what more can I share to gain trust? And will this tech make it easier for me and for others? As I said, I'll share the slide deck with you, but I'm running out of time. I wanted to just tell you that this quote that's often given over to Charles Darwin, it's not the largest or strongest that survive, but those most responsive to change. You don't have to be the biggest or the strongest, but you do need to know what the trends are, and you change with the times. The world is always changing, and change with the times. And that's my message to you. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you. Okay.